Why do some people have a magnetism to them that draws people in? It makes them loved, admired, and respected in the eyes of others. Anything that they pursue, they succeed in, whether it's starting a business, attracting a girl, or anything they do just seems to come to them effortlessly, basically, whilst others struggle to get by and just make enough money to pay the rent and couldn't attract a girl if their life depended on it, and it just seems like they're always losing no matter what situation they're in. Well, this has to do with their aura. Your aura is an invisible energy field that's emanated from your body. People can't see it physically, but it affects them emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. The more aura that you build, the more these things that you want will just naturally come into your life, and everything will seem effortlessly, and you'll live life on easy mode. So there's 5 key steps to developing an aura, but if you mess up even just one of them, your energy will be off-putting. But if you can master all 5, you'll seem to be living life on easy mode. To illustrate the first step of developing an aura, imagine this. You have 2 favorite influencers and you get the chance to meet both of them. One of them completely ignores you, they just walk right by, and you leave that interaction feeling completely disrespected. All your hopes and dreams of this person being someone cool was completely crushed in that moment. But the second influencer, they take their time, they look you dead in the eye, they shake your hand, they talk to you for 10 minutes, they answer any questions you have, they help you out in your journey of whatever it is that you're pursuing. How did you leave that interaction feeling? So these 2 comparisons demonstrates exactly the first step that you need in order to develop an aura, which is charisma. So there's 3 key elements that are going to allow you to be very charismatic. The first is going to be presence. I want you to think about that story we just talked about. The second influencer, what did they do? They took their time to really be present in the interaction. They looked you in the eye, they shook your hand, they listened to everything you had to say, they gave you advice based off the questions you asked. That is exactly what presence is all about. It's about being there in the moment, experiencing it, and not letting your thoughts and mind wander. If you can just be present in the moment, you are gonna up your aura and your charismatic abilities 10x. That's the first step. The second step is going to be warmth. Showing warmth ties into presence because if you're present, now all you have to do is be in alignment with whatever this person's talking about, giving them advice on the questions they ask, using everything that you have to help them out in any way, shape, or form, and really just listening to them and being there for them. That is all it takes to show warmth. It's not that difficult. So this ties into the third key element of being charismatic, which is power. And a lot of people get this one confused, thinking that you need to be evil or manipulative and with power, but it's really nothing like that. All it comes down to is using any of the resources you have to help someone out. Think of an example in my life. I'm building a personal brand on self-improvement. If I met Hamza and Hamza said to me, look bro, I'm gonna help you launch your personal brand, I'm gonna shout you out on my channel, we're gonna do videos together. That is him using his power in a very charismatic way, being very present, being very warm towards me with the power that he has. That's what charisma is all about. But even if you have a combination of warmth, power, and presence, if you're deficient in this one skill, your aura is still gonna repel people. To illustrate this, I wanna take you back to my younger self in high school, and I want you to see how I kind of interacted with people. One of the things I did was I always had bad posture. I was always slouched over. I would never look people in their eye, especially a pretty girl that I would want to talk to. I would always be kind of like side-eyeing, trying to look at her in a weird, awkward way as if I could not interact with her like she was a non-player character in the game. That is the type of body language. Forget about communication. I wouldn't even go up and talk to these girls. But that is exactly how I interacted with the world. Versus now, most recently, I was just in Sweden for 5 months. And one of the things I would do was go to a neighboring city all by myself and talk to everyone there. I had tons of great interactions with girls. And when I met someone, I would go up to them, I would shake their hand, look them in the eye, ask questions, ask follow-up questions based off of the information they gave me that was about themselves. And this was the key to me having all this success and using my charisma effectively to build my aura. So if you don't understand it already, that key skill is going to be communication. This comes down to 2 key steps, which without either one of them, you're not going to have the full potential of success. The first one's going to be verbal. Actually saying things that make sense, that tie into the conversation the right way, is going to be extremely important. The better you are at being funny, at understanding the social situation you're in, and being very socially in tune, and saying things in alignment with that is going to make your verbal communication stand out a ton. You don't even have to do anything that crazy. It can really just be trying to get to know someone, asking open-ended follow-up questions if you're just getting started out. And now the second aspect to this is going to be your body language. See, I really tried to emphasize this when I was in high school, that I was always slouched over. I wouldn't look people in the eye. I'd always kind of like look at a girl like this and act just so shy and insecure. Whereas now when I'm in the club in Sweden, I have my head up, my shoulders back, my chest out. I walk up to someone, I'm looking them in the eyes when I go to speak to them. These subtle differences make the biggest thing, a huge difference in how the world perceives you. So it's a combination of your verbal communication between the things you physically say and your nonverbal communication as to how you carry yourself and how you interact with the world, how you portray yourself. These two things is what's going to really tie together your charisma and make you just have an amazing aura. So now with both charisma and communication developed, this next element will make you dangerously magnetic. I want you to think of James Bond. What is he always doing? He's always pursuing his mission and purpose. He's a secret spy traveling around the world to go and kill and get some bad guy and make sure that he saves everyone. That is his mission and purpose, and he doesn't let anyone distract him from it. He'll be with the baddest girl and he'll leave her to go kill the bad guy or just get a little piece of information so he can continue his mission. No one can distract him from his mission and purpose. See, this is what girls will admire and guys will respect. No one wants to be around someone who's just smoking weed all day, playing video games, is easily distracted. If a girl comes into his life, he'll drop everything for her. No one respects that. But if you're someone who is always driven by your mission and purpose, and no one can take you off of it, not the hottest girl, not the most fun party that all the guys are inviting you to, this is what's going to make people magnetically drawn to you, because people want to be part of something that's bigger than themselves. They want to believe in something that's greater. This has gone back since human time. This is why we have religion, and this is why now people are able to build cults so easily, because people are always wanting to believe in something bigger than themselves. Now, I'm not telling you to go out and build a cult or anything, but I'm just saying you being someone who is constantly driven by your purpose and your mission is going to make people magnetically drawn to you. Charisma, communication, and your purpose are things that you're going to have to work at to develop. But if you can get your frequency to the highest possible state, then everything else is going to fall in place. Let me explain. I want you to think of two activities that you could potentially be doing on a daily basis. One is watching porn. How do you feel after you just watched porn, you just released, and now you got to go about your life after knowing you just did this? That's going to put you in a very, very low frequency state. You're going to be feeling the emotions of guilt, shame, fear. That is what you're going to be experiencing after having done that activity. Now, I want you to think of how you'd feel after winning a boxing match that you trained so hard for and you beat the opponent. This took you so much time, so much sacrifice, so much dedication, blood, sweat, and tears went into this, and you just won this boxing match. How do you think you're going to feel after that? You're going to be experiencing all the higher emotions of pride, courage, joy, freedom. That's what you're going to be experiencing after having won that boxing match. So now I know a lot of you are probably not training for a boxing match, but this applies to everyday life. Think if you were just at the gym, how are you going to feel after completing that set? How are you going to walk into a room after you've just hit the best workout of your life, you hit a PR, you're feeling pumped? How do you interact with the world? It's going to be completely different than if you just came from watching porn. See, the activities that you do on a daily basis are going to determine your frequency, and your frequency is going to tie into everything else. So it's an essential thing that you need to do constantly to get your frequency to the highest possible state. The answers that you seek reside at the higher frequency states. You're not going to experience the things that you need to know when you're feeling fear, guilt, and shame. But when you demonstrate courage to the world, that's where the answers reside. Let me give you another example. When I was younger, I've told this story before on my channel. I was 19, I'd moved to Florida, I had no friends there, and after months of being isolated, I wanted to make some friends, and I'd heard about this 18 plus club. I was terrified to go to it. I literally threw up before I went out. That's how scared I was. So I still went though. That was me demonstrating courage. That was the frequency that I emanated to the world. And once I got there, things just naturally fell into place. I kind of was charismatic. I was actually a decent communicator, but this all happened because I demonstrated courage first by just showing up. And once I demonstrated that emotion of courage, then everything else fell into place. But if I let fear and all these emotions take over and me just to stay at home, I would have never experienced what I needed to know in order to get past that in my life. So that's how important frequency is, and it's more about the activities that you can do on a daily basis to raise your frequency and feel those higher emotions on a longer term basis. This is just going to get you to that flow state where now you're just interacting with the world in a very charismatic place. You're going to be communicating at a higher level, and your mission and purpose is going to be in the forefront of your mind, and you're always doing things in alignment with the highest version of yourself. Now, if you can get this last part right, everything else will just fall into place. I want you to think of Conor McGregor's rise to fame. When he first started out, he had this irrational confidence, this self-belief in himself that he was going to be champion. And then time and time again, he just kept proving it to the world, and everyone started to accept this notion and this belief that he was the champion. See, this is what identity will do to you. If you have the identity of someone who is a champion, or someone who is just magnetic or has an aura, this is what's going to allow you to keep this over time, and all the aspects will just fall into place, because your identity is the most important thing that you can develop. The beliefs you have about yourself is going to determine how the world interacts with you. And the way to develop your beliefs and your identity is just going to be by affirming these things to your mind and then proving it to yourself with small, consistent wins. So all the things we listed, being charismatic, developing your communication, having a purpose and mission, all these are going to be essential that you prove to yourself on a consistent basis that you're developing your aura, you're becoming a magnetic person. So if you can show examples and literally write them out every single day of you being present in a conversation, you showing warmth to someone, you working on your mission and purpose, you doing all these things consistently and then affirming them to your mind is what's going to allow you to develop that identity that allows you to operate on autopilot, just having an aura for the rest of your life. So this is the key final step that you need to develop, is the identity of someone who has an aura. If you do this, you are going to operate with life on easy mode.